This story from Egyptian heritage about a simple act of honesty sets a humble police detective on a collision course with fate, leading him to question everything he knows about himself and the world around him.
Abdul Al was a tall, dark-skinned police detective. On the back of his right hand was a tattooed fish with its mouth open, its tail split, and a dot for an eye. Abdul Al was a detective, yet he had a family and a wife who sometimes nagged him and sometimes pleased him. Occasionally, he'd swear at her, threatening divorce, but rarely did he actually follow through. Abdul Al's monthly salary was a mere £10, including any bonuses he might have received. Abdul Al was quite proud of his job as a detective. When he rode the bus and the conductor would call out, "Police," he'd feel a sense of importance. He'd say, "Police," and people would glance at him and give him a respectful nod. Like everyone else, Abdul Al had dreams for the future. But his dreams weren't ordinary, like becoming an officer or a governor. No, he dreamed of being the Minister of the Interior. Just imagine waking up and finding yourself a minister with a car and a bodyguard, and a soldier standing guard at the door of your house, at least with two stripes. It wasn't impossible. After all, the one who created the earth and the heavens from nothing could surely turn a soldier into a minister. And why not him? He was literate, could sometimes mumble English words, devoured newspapers, knew about Korea, and could pronounce Hammarskjöld correctly. Some time ago, Abdul Al had been involved in a case involving a missing piece of evidence. He had been responsible for the seized items and had signed for them. Days later, when the evidence was checked, one item was missing. Abdul Al was questioned and denied any wrongdoing. But they pressed him, grew harsher, and he started to stammer. The officer suspected him and threatened to search him. Abdul Al could see in his eyes that he was serious. That's when he reached into his pocket and pulled out the missing item, a forged check for £100,000, expertly counterfeited. The officer was astonished. He opened a new case file and began to ask questions. He paused at the question of why Abdul Al had kept the forged check. Abdul Al couldn't give a clear answer. He mumbled and stammered, saying many empty words that didn't satisfy the officer, and he didn't satisfy himself either. At the end of the day, Abdul Al returned to the station exhausted and broken. He had lost half his salary, was transferred out of the detective department, and was warned of dismissal. He was sad and resentful, yet deep down, he felt a strange sense of satisfaction and happiness. No one had realized that he had kept the forged check to make an exact photocopy of it, something that had cost him 15 piastres. Days passed, and Abdul Al's sadness and resentment faded, but the image of the forged check remained. To this day, Abdul Al's happiest moments were those when he could escape the crowds, be alone, and make sure no one was watching him. Then he would carefully take out his wallet and, from a special pocket, remove the image of the check. He would feel a thunder in his ears and a tingling in his limbs as he looked at the bank's logo and the printed letters.